for the Veterans Ranch. Could you tell our audience what that's all about?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having us on here today. We are in sunny Lakeland, Florida, which is halfway between Disney World and Tampa, Florida. And we work with veterans, first responders, and kids that lost loved ones in the line of duty through horses. It's known as equine therapy. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put one of these grooming brushes in your hand, get you start working that rhythmic motion of working with a horse, which is really a prey animal. It doesn't know you, it doesn't trust you. So you have to build bonds of trust with that horse, just like you do with people.
So when you put that in our hands, what are we doing with it? We're brushing and we're stroking, and that's somehow a physical therapy in itself.
Absolutely. It really gets into your psyche. This is one of about 5 different types of brushes you'll use on a horse. Just depending on how dirty it is, you use a different one for the mane and tail that you do anything else, but you're working that rhythmic motion. And like any repetitive motion you're doing, it's not only physical, but it's also mental and psychological. So you start forgetting about the world for a while. They always tell you in sales trainings to leave your problems at the door because they'll be there when you get back. This is absolutely no different. The main thing we want you to start doing, however, is start laying down those heavy coats of burden and really start walking off a new and improved version of yourself.
Yeah, and you're talking about burdens, and we're talking, I mean, let's be real. We're talking PTSD, anxiety, depression, survivor's guilt, um, anything and everything that is basically our mind that's blocking us from moving forward in life.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, I get told by veterans all the time that, JR, we don't own PTS. It just gets labeled onto us because, we get talked about the most with it. But there are lots of people who have had traumatic experiences in their lives. My brother-in-law, who's now 36 years old, when he was 8 years old, lost his twin brother in a car accident. They were arguing over who was supposed to sit in what seat. Well, when his brother got killed, that was his seat he was supposed to be sitting in. So you talk about survivor's guilt and all those things. He dealt with that a lot of ways most people shouldn't for a whole lot of years. Now he's better. He's married my sister. They have 2 wonderful kids, but you never forget what happened. Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% how you react to it. We don't live in that 10% space. That's already happened. We live in that 90% space because let's face it, we're human. We tend to screw up the 90%, 100% of the time. God gave us choice and we don't always make the best ones. And so we're there to help you in that 90% space.
Yeah, and what's really cool too is you have a lot of events that brings us veterans together, and we all know that the camaraderie of being around other veterans that share the same kind of history, have the same reference points. Holy cow, we've also been growing up with the same acronyms. I mean, you know what I mean? It makes a difference. It really makes a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this Sunday we're having a veteran horse clinic and trail ride in Arcadia, Florida. And none of these, well, there are a couple of people that know each other, but for the most part, they don't know each other. By the end of the day, they'll feel like they've known each other for 100 years. And we're the same way. My wife and I are proud patriots. My dad was 2-tour Vietnam veteran. My wife's dad was in the Army just right after World War II. So everything we learn, I pick up the acronyms as well because you become a part of that culture. My dad was in the Navy. So when I'm going to the bathroom, I still say I got to go hit the head because I grew up hearing that my whole life, right? We all kiddingly know snafu and fubar, and, we know all those things that we won't obviously say full on here what they are. Everybody knows that knows. If you get it, you get it. And so, it's a very unique culture to be a part of. And we're just so proud to be a part of that culture that veterans let us into their world.
JR, I'm so happy that you are in our virtual studio today because this month is Mission Grateful Possible. And we are highlighting folks like yourself that are basically saluting our service, but with a tangible service program such as what you have. And yours equine therapy, and I know from other people's experience, I can't say from mine because the last time I was on a horse, I got thrown off. It saw a llama and it kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
So it did one of these numbers with me on its back.
Yeah. Well, they say if you haven't been in the dirt riding horses, you haven't been riding horses long enough. But it's not a matter of if, it's when. But for the most part, the trail rides that we do, they're very docile horses. We try and really specialize in that. Last thing you need is anybody that's easily triggered, being on an easily triggered horse. We don't use performance horses if they're rodeo or any kind of performance, barrel racers, reiners, anything like that. We stay away from those. That's a specialty training where you click the wrong spot, you're off to the Kentucky Derby, and that's not what we're doing.
Okay, so we will be talking more about what you are doing right after these messages.